Folks, welcome into pubsportsradio.com. Hot Topics video. It's a Monday, Jeff. Couple weeks away. The weather's changing a little bit. And you know what? Action not on the field, but we have the NFL draft. You know what we're going to talk about today, Jeff? Those quarterbacks and where they're going to end up.
Yeah, finally getting into, Donnie, the NFL draft, kind of going through some positions here. There's plenty of props this year to get involved with, a lot more than normal. Obviously, I think books are just looking to give people opportunities to bet. This is going to be a fascinating draft. Again, we've already seen these kids play, so that's not going to really affect the overall how they produce the draft. But I'm excited about it. Looking forward to it.
No, it should be a lot of fun to go over because I think we know, or at least, look, who knows in 3 weeks what's going to happen. We're talking Bengals and Redskins, two organizations not known for making the greatest moves. If we look at the top five quarterbacks and where we're going to go. Now, look, we're just using a top five. We can include, the Jacob Easons, Jake Fromms, Jalen Hurts, and all of that, but we're going to focus on the top guys and really where they're going to be movers and shakers. At number one overall, Jeff, the Cincinnati Bengals have that pick. Would we be surprised if they did not pick Joe Burrow? Personally, I would be, but then again, Jeff, it's the Bengals.
Yeah, I would be pretty surprised. I mean, I think it's probably one of the bigger locks in the last couple of years as far as number one picks.
Do you have a price on that, Jeff, by the way? Do we have a price on Joe Burrow, what he's going number one? Or
I didn't end up writing them down.
I'll bring it up while you're going up. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's 1 to 25, something like that. It's high. As far as Burrow, I think he's a fascinating kid. I think he obviously showed all of us what a perfect season looks like, Donnie. But I think that's my concern. Was it just one of those real great seasons? That's kind of the question with Joe Burrow because, Donnie, you know who Joe Burrow reminds me of from a comparison? And I'm not talking about his I'm not saying on the field, but that 1 year he had, he reminds me a little bit of Nick Foles, the way he had that unbelievable 1 year, but his career has always been kind of a question mark, like where he was and what he was. Like, why did he not catch on at Ohio State and why did they miss it? I think he's got great accuracy. I think that's his great feature. The question that I think a lot of GMs and people will have is, what is his arm strength? What is his ability down the field? I think he's a great talent, and I think he'll do really good for Cincinnati. I've heard a lot of comparisons, though, Donnie, from a physical standpoint to Andy Dalton, which, again, I'm sure he'll be better than Andy Dalton. But, again, we always wonder, is he a Robert Griffin type that'll have that 1 year and then, maybe he falls off? But, Donnie, it's so hard with quarterback because you never truly know. Look at Patrick Mahomes. Look at, all these other guys. But, yeah, it would be very surprising to me, almost flooring if the Bengals don't take him.
I mean, I thought he was unbelievable last year, and obviously the numbers prove it. And again, we're not talking about, Jeff, going through the Pac-12 or something like that, or the Big 12, who doesn't play all that much defense. It was a great thing to do in the SEC, sure. But all your points are valid. I mean, it's 1 year to look at because I think if we're prognosticating on what's going to take place, we've seen quarterbacks, oh my God, look at all the physical talents that Mitchell Trubisky has, and he's going to be entering into yet another season. We're like, looks like it's going to be a bust at this point. I can't fault the Bengals. It's one of those things, Jeff, if you're a Bengals fan, you put yourself in. If they draft Joe Burrow and it doesn't work out, you can't look back and say, well, we should have taken somebody else. I think it's the right pick for them.
That's a great point. I think I've said this many times, Donnie. In the NFL, I think you become a great quarterback through great people around you, great systems around you. And, I think I've talked about Baker Mayfield. I think that's one of his biggest issues. He's not had a leader. He's not had a system. It's all been very, very odd, that whole situation. So I think if Joe Burrow goes to the right offense with the right people around him, which I'm higher on Cincinnati than a lot of other people are. I do like the veteran A.J. Green. I like, obviously the backfield solid. I think Zach Taylor is better than, most of these young coaches. Yeah. He's not like an Adam Gase or a Freddie Kitchens or someone like that. I think it's a good system for him. I think he'll be, obviously he's from that area. I don't think it's the worst situation to go to, honestly.
No, I think he's got to go there. Now, to me, the best part of the draft picks up after Joe Burrow goes because I think everybody – and again, the good part about the draft being in 3 weeks and still not being able to get these guys in and ask them questions is the, hidden cloud of where these guys are coming from. Are they going to be healthy? Who really knows what's going on? That's Tua Tagovailoa because we're looking at picks 2, 3, and 4 in the draft, Jeff. theoretically don't need quarterbacks, right? We're talking the Redskins with Haskins, Matthew Stafford for the Detroit Lions, and then Daniel Jones for the New York Giants. The fun begins now with Tua. And if I'm going to say, if we can't play the game where we can anticipate trades happening, even though I think the number 3 overall pick should be traded to number 4 with the Giants if they're not going to take a quarterback, which I don't think they are, we would have to look right for a perfect match made in heaven, Jeff. 5 overall, Tua to the Dolphins.
Yeah, I've said before, I don't think we see any major trades in the first 5 picks. As you said, I think all the teams in front of Miami, outside of Cincinnati, have the quarterback they're looking for. And if it doesn't work out for like a Washington, well then maybe next year it'll be the time to take Trevor Lawrence or something like that. But yeah, I think Miami is a perfect spot for him. I think he. If you're asking me who I would take as a quarterback, it would be Tagovailoa. I think he has a ready-made game for the NFL. I think he's obviously has some concerns with coming off injuries and things like that. Hopefully he doesn't become like a Marcus Mariota type or something like that. But obviously I think he could either be Mariota or he could be Russell Wilson. I think he's got the ability down the field. The fact that he's lefty's kind of interesting, always is interesting. But yeah, I like the kid a lot. I think he's got a tremendous upside. I think he is a kid that I would say, in my opinion, is the best player as far as quarterback in this draft. And I think he has that mold to that dual threat quarterback that you always need to have. And I think Miami would be a great spot for him. Like
in the past, we've seen some interesting things happen in the draft. Remember the Alex Smith goes number 1 overall, and then Aaron Rodgers drops all the way to the bottom of the first round. We don't see that with Tua. I think we're all reading the same type of stuff because, again, we're not meeting with doctors or getting the information, but it looks like he is going to be healthy, and it's not going to be a hindrance on his NFL career. But it's always fun to take a look at some of these things. Do we see Joe Burrow, Jeff, go number 1, and maybe Tua slides into the mid-first round? He can't get past the Dolphins or Chargers, right?
No, I would. I mean, if that would happen, I would be, again, very surprised. It's interesting, Donnie. A lot of people with Tua Tagovailoa, they always point to like the short and stature comment, like he's too small, whatever. I'm becoming more and more out of that whole discussion just because we've seen it
in the pocket.
Yeah. I mean, Russell Wilson's 5'11". I mean,
Kyler Murray.
Yeah. It's all about other things and that kind of thing. But no, I would be very surprised if that would happen. I would, I don't know what I would say. I'd be quite surprised. I don't think he gets past Miami, but I definitely don't think he gets past LA.
Now, let's just say Miami goes with Tua Tagovailoa. Everything holds firm here. Now we're taking a look at that next tier of quarterbacks, Jordan Love, Justin Herbert, and Jacob Eason. And we also know, being in LA, that is a major league city because you have the 2 teams moving into a new stadium. You want your quarterback of the future because Tyrod Taylor is not the future right now for the Chargers. Do you dip your toes in the water, Jeff, of any of these guys like Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, or Jacob Eason going in that 6th spot in that range, being one of those top 5 quarterbacks?
Yeah, I've become more and more enamored with Love. I think a lot of people, though, and what I've read is a lot of teams have him, mid-rounds. I mean, a lot of teams don't like Jordan Love. Again, Donnie, all you need is one team, though, to like Jordan Love. And I actually had him going to the Saints late in the first round. I think they're a group that needs to start looking at the next kind of wave. And I think he could be interesting there. I definitely like Herbert. I think from a actual quarterback standpoint, he might be the best, prototypical quarterback in the draft. I worry about him, though. I wondered about his ability to step up and play great competition. I noticed in certain bowl games he seemed to kind of wither when it mattered most. But again, I think those are things that can be dealt with. I think you see a lot of Carson Wentz in the way he plays. He's not obviously that guy that can run, but I think if he needs to, he could do it. I think he's got really good arm talent, but it's a bad quarterback group, Donnie. I mean, outside of those 2 or 3, maybe throw Love in there as well. I mean, there is very little. It's interesting, though, once you get down deeper into the draft, guys like, Khalil Tate. He obviously fits the mold now. There's kid James Morgan, Florida International. Nick Siano, a kid out of Chattanooga, I've heard some good things about. So, nowadays with the NFL, Donnie, we see these quarterbacks that have come out of, an Eastern Illinois or a North Dakota State, or even last year, Devlin Hodges out of Samford. Is the market to look deeper and deeper into some of these schools a little bit more interesting? But yeah, it's a rough group, Donnie. I mean, you don't necessarily have like that Gardner Minshew, I feel like, in this group. It's rough from the quarterback position.
Yeah, because it gets a little bit leaky as we head towards after that Chargers pick. But you brought up a really good subject here because the new age of the NFL, Jeff, we look at the New Orleans Saints, right? Drew Brees is a certified Hall of Famer, one of the best ever to play the position. But you know who they love? Taysom Hill playing that role, saying, hey, Drew, we're going to use you for 75% of the snaps, but watch this package that we're going to bring in for Taysom Hill. You brought up guys like Khalil Tate, some of those guys. Talk about like a new wave in the NFL because we are looking for the next thing where maybe you already have a quarterback setup. Like, let's just take a flyer on like the 49ers right at 13. Obviously we know we love Jimmy G, but maybe that next wave, because Kyle Shanahan always on the forefront of super effective and innovative offenses. Are any of these teams going to be looking, Jeff, maybe the New England Patriots? Let's get one of those Taysom Hill type guys and really wreak havoc here in the NFL and run some of these crazy sub packages.
Yeah, I mean, you always see these guys that kind of translate into, like a running back or, as you said, like the Taysom Hill thing. Again, with a team like the Saints, I mean, I get where you're going with that idea. And there are guys, Anthony Gordon, certain people like that maybe could do something like that. But yeah, for a team, also the thing you see in this draft, Donnie, is you see a lot of teams, I think, need to start preparing for the next level. Where do you go from here? I.e. New England, Pittsburgh, New Orleans. I mean, all these teams are kind of in and out, even the Chargers, which we know they're going to go and take a quarterback. There's that new wave of we need to start preparing for the future because our guy's getting old. We need to look down the road. Donnie Eason, he's a guy that he's about as statuesque as it gets. I mean, he's 6'6",
230. Yeah.
He ain't going anywhere. So the worry for him is, does he just become like a Luke Falk type? Or like it's a guy that just can't really do anything.
Or like Joe Flacco at this stage, has the big arm, has the capabilities, but can he get out of the way of some of these speed rushers now?
That's kind of a good connection. That's what he is. He could throw the ball downfield and he's fun, but when the pocket breaks down, I mean, his lack of mobility is out there. I mean, it's bad. Yeah. It's like a Carson Palmer type of reaction. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, Jacob Eason might be the best quarterback in the draft, but it's not what
it'll be interesting. Some of these packages, Jeff, like we talk about the speedy guys real quick here, like the Bryce Perkins of the world, maybe even like a Kelly Bryant getting in there, Khalil Tate, who you already mentioned. Then there's a guy already way down, Jeff, probably won't get drafted, but if he does, little old Nathan Rourke from Ohio. I'm interested to see where some of these sub packages go. Where kids got wheels. Yeah,
I could see Nathan Rourke becoming that Taysom Hill type of player.
New England, perfect.
Yeah, no, that is a really great point by you. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah. I mean, he's versatile. He could do different things. It would, he's not going to be a quarterback in the NFL, but he's a guy that could become that Julian Edelman type of player, where he can. Come from a MAC school, a Kent State, Ohio type of school. And, he's a guy that you'd want to create a different role for in the NFL. The problem you have with Gordon and Khalil Tate and guys like that, I think they're quarterbacks. I don't know how you can really get away from those types. I'll tell you this, Donnie, Khalil Tate is about as poor a man's Michael Vick as you can get. Like, that's what he is. Yeah. He's not accurate. He's really fast. Mm-hmm. He can make guys miss. He could just create some accuracy. He's interesting. But he never was able to do that.
No, a lot more to go over here. Talking quarterbacks here on a Monday, getting you ready for the NFL Draft Radio on pubsportsradio.com. Jeff, I also saw you put a blog out today talking about some interesting things in some mock drafts. Tell the people what you're doing at Pub Sports Radio, getting them ready for the NFL draft.
Yeah, just doing my mock. I put that out last week. It's out there. I just try to keep people interested, try to create some buzz. I always do the NFL Draft. I'll get up with, kind of creating my own Eagles mock where I think they're going to go. They've had major issues over the years with choosing the right people. It's going to be difficult to not get it right this year, but you never know with them. But Donnie, I'm just more impressed that you threw in a Nathan Rourke reference. I'm happy to hear that. That's the kind of names I like to hear when talking about the NFL draft.
Exactly, Jeff. Us mining for those gems where it can factor in. And I want you to coin it and take it forward, Jeff. You need to get on Twitter today and start that up saying he's the perfect Edelman concept. Next thing you know, Jeff, you'll be right next to Mel Kiper Jr. up there.
Yeah. Well, look, I think I'd be better than Mel Kiper Jr. Now, I do like McShay. I will say that. But yeah, listen, let's get Rourke drafted in this league. Yes. I mean, I really would like to see it. Hey, Eagles, and Nathan Rourke, throw him next to Carson Wentz. Be perfect.
Yeah, and don't put it past us. Maybe you can reach out, Jeff, and maybe on one of these special little streamcasts here that we have, maybe a Nathan Rourke appearance. He's a guy we might be able to get to, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you'd want to be seen with gambling people, but hey, times are tough out there. Throwing $50. Well, can we do that?
I don't know.
I guess he's out of school, so yeah, I guess we could.
Yeah, look, a lot of big things happening here, Pub Sports Radio. We'll keep you entertained right up through the draft. For Jeff, I am Donnie. Thanks again for tuning in. Hit the retweet button when you get this and check it out tomorrow, Jeff. We're going to be talking NFL draft again. We'll decide which way we want to go, but make sure you tune in here. Thanks again, guys.